Thank you all for joining us tonight. I'm Jalen Banks. The Kansas Bureau of Investigation and Galena Police Department are currently investigating a body found in Galena. Details are few at this time. According to Galena PD, the chief, Billy Charles, told us officers were called about 3 p.m. for a body in a field near 11th and Wood Street today for a body found. That's near the tire monofill. KOAM crew at the scene was told that the KBI was in charge of the investigation. We've reached out for more details and will update you as soon as we learn more. The Joplin School Board wants to upgrade security systems throughout the district school and their buildings to make it safer for staffs and students. KOAM Shagun Bamdali has more about their plan.
The Joplin School Board laid out more than $5 million capital spending proposal. That money will go towards a variety of projects, ranging from new buses to lead testing and security upgrades.
We're looking to upgrade some of our video camera technology in the district, especially some of the older buildings. And so it's just basically, some cameras age out of their life cycle, so we replace cameras and like I said, replace some of the technology as well within some of the buildings.
School officials told me that the new camera systems will be able to see farther distance, wider angles, and also more clarity than the old cameras.
There's one camera that they call a 360, and it gets a wide swath of an area where the older cameras before would just focus on maybe a singular area, where this focuses on a large area, and then within that area you can dial that down to a smaller area and make that small area become very clear.
Parents are happy that the school district is investing into school security.
I think as long as the money is thoughtful and intentional, I think the money invested into security is going to be important, as long as the new camera systems and the tech part of our camera systems are going to be effective and intentional.
School board members will vote on the proposal at the next meeting. Reporting in Joplin, Shagun Bamdali, KOM News.
The board also previewed 3 messaging platforms intended to establish two-way messaging between school officials and parents. This week is Diversity Week at Pitt State. The university is hosting several events to celebrate. Today, they hosted the America's Social Mixer. It was a chance for students to come together, enjoy some food and drinks, and celebrate the many cultures in our part of the world.
So I have been planning this since last semester. This has just been something that I've been wanting to do and bring a diversity week here on campus, as other campuses do this across Kansas. So I thought it would be a good opportunity for us to show the diversity that we have here on campus. So this is just like the first kickoff to the week.
Some other events this week include a Black History Month trivia night, a World Languages booth, and an International Food and Culture Fair. Chief Meteorologist Doug Keddy joins us with the first look of the weather.
Well, it actually turned out to be a great day outside for us today. We had plenty of sunshine. Temperatures fantastic. It wasn't too windy across the region. It was a little breezy, but it wasn't bad. 69 is where we topped out. We started at 52, normal highs 54, so 15 degrees above where we should be for this time of the year. And we did get a little bit of rain. This is since midnight, about 1/10 of an inch. So for the month, we're closing in on 3 inches, which is good for the year, 4.5 inches. So we are actually above average by a little bit more than 1/2 inch. All right, temperatures cooling down a bit. 51 Nevada, 56 in Neosho, 55 in Miami. Parsons a little bit cooler, down at 45 degrees. And as we go through the rest of the night, we drop back through the 40s, eventually down to 40 for an overnight low, but at least we're going to dry out just a bit as we go through the next couple days after we saw the showers and thunderstorms last night. You can see the entire Central Plains is pretty much dry, but look at all of our storm reports. So these are wind reports in the green. Those are winds kind of upwards of 50 miles per hour. We actually had two little tiny spin up tornadoes in our far eastern counties. We do have another storm system moves in Thursday. I'm going to give you those details here in just a bit.
And those storms and winds kept crews busy cleaning up debris and clearing roads. There were several storm damage reports across the area. In Joplin, strong winds knocked down a utility pole at East 4th and Ozark. It also knocked over several trees, some which landed on vehicles. Pittsburgh also saw some strong winds. This video at the Pittsburgh Middle School. As you can see, the winds brought down a big tree at the school. Riverton, Kansas took a hit from the storm as well. Due to the high winds, the dogets at the Riverton baseball field were also damaged. A farm east of Carthage, Missouri saw some damage in winds. A row of trees was knocked down. The farm's owner says it seemed like a tornado had tore through.
Well, I mean, it's going to take a little while to clean up, but I think we'll get it done.
You can submit photos of the storm damage on our website at koamnewsnow.com/photos. Because of the tree damage from last night's storms, the city of Joplin is opening its free tree limb drop-off site. It'll be open from 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. The drop-off site is 1702 North Schifferdecker Avenue. In Oklahoma and Kansas, a series of tornadoes caused major damage and at least 12 injuries. Fox weather correspondent Brandy Campbell has more from Norman, Oklahoma.
Folks in Oklahoma and nearby Kansas are assessing the damage after a series of rare February tornadoes hit the Midwest and Southern Plains. At least a dozen people were injured on Sunday and hundreds of structures were damaged. Here in Norman, Oklahoma, the devastation is widespread. You can see cars flipped over, houses with no roofs, and debris lining the streets. Police are asking the public to stay off the roads if possible as they work to make sure there are no further injuries.
So I would say try to stay clear of these areas. There'll be a lot of traffic congestion already, and we don't need to add to that.
There have been at least 7 tornadoes reported in Oklahoma this month, an all-time high for February. Emergency response teams and power crews are now being deployed in big numbers, making sure residents who lost everything are getting the help they need.
I'm kind of at a loss of words, you know, like my shed is gone, everything that we owned, everything that I feel like, you know, we kind of worked for is just in the wind now, so I really just don't know what to think at this point.
A different storm system also spawning a tornado on Monday in Illinois. But so far, the damage does not appear to be as widespread as it is in Oklahoma and Kansas, where officials are promising a speedy recovery process.
I don't know that we prepare for like late night tornadoes, but we prepare for disasters like this. And we work through the night and through the days until we are recovered from them.
Now, officials here say the Public Works Department will be doing a full assessment of damage here today. In Norman, Oklahoma, I'm Brandy Campbell, Fox Weather.
Coming up, what a new study shows about how drastic changes in weather can impact your health. More than 1 million Americans died during the COVID-19 pandemic, which started more than 3 years ago. U.S. intelligence agencies are still searching for answers. From the beginning, Chinese officials have, to some degree, prevented full investigations, but now a U.S. agency reportedly changing its mind on how the virus originated. Fox News correspondent Lauren Blanchard reports from Washington, D.C.
The Energy Department has decided with low confidence that the coronavirus may have started from an accidental lab leak in China, according to a report by the Wall Street Journal.
The intelligence community and the rest of the government is still looking at this. There's not been a definitive conclusion.
China has come under more international scrutiny recently after the spy balloon over the U.S. and Beijing considering selling weapons to Russia.
I do hope that this is part of a strategy to hold China in check.
It's going to have a deleterious impact for sure on that U.S.-Chinese relationship, no doubt about it.
In the report, the Energy Department pointed toward undisclosed new intelligence for shifting their position. They, along with the FBI, point toward a lab leak. Other departments still believe the virus was transmitted naturally.
What you're going to find is that the entire intelligence community will reach that assessment because our intelligence very clearly supports that assessment.
Chinese officials say the U.S. is trying to play politics with the pandemic.
As we are getting briefed and updated, the president is, we'll certainly share that with Congress and the American people. But the president believes that it is important that we get to the bottom of this, but we need to be prepared for the potentially another pandemic.
Meanwhile, some Republicans in Congress want to investigate why many U.S. officials dismissed the lab leak theory early on.
We need to see what our government knew and why they were censoring people.
4 other U.S. agencies say COVID-19 was likely the result of natural transmission. 2 others are still undecided. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
Senate officials in Texas are implementing fentanyl strips as a way to fight back against the ongoing crisis in the state. The test strips can be used to detect the presence of fentanyl in different kinds of drugs. But despite some bipartisan support in recent years, some lawmakers would rather focus energy on contributing factors like border security. 14 fentanyl-related bills have been filed during the legislative session. 13 would decriminalize testing strips, which are considered drug paraphernalia in Texas. Pfizer could be getting bigger. The Wall Street Journal says Pfizer is in talks to buy Seattle Genetics Seagen, a biotech company with promising cancer treatments. The talks are at an early stage and there is no guarantee there will be a deal, but a potential deal could be worth more than $30 billion. A drastic change in weather could take a toll on your health. Health experts say wild weather swings can cause infections, trigger allergies, and exacerbate other medical problems. This could be worse for people with existing medical conditions. The temperature changes can also take a toll on the heart. Doug joins us again with a complete look at the forecast, and later we take a look at a new report about apartment rent the last 6 months. We'll have the numbers.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a great Monday today. We had sunshine, temperatures fantastic. Most of us right around 70 degrees, which is great any time of the year, but especially in late February. Looks pretty good outside right now. Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, of course, Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri. All right, look at these temps. Past 36 hours. We warmed up. We got into the mid 60s yesterday. We pushed 70 for us today. It's cooling off. It's not terrible. We're sitting at 52 in Nowata, 50 at Grand Lake. Pittsburgh 49, Monette is at 53 degrees, and it was a little breezy for us today, but these winds are calming down now, but they are going to start to get cranking once again as we go into tomorrow. Outside, 7th and Rangeline sitting at 53 west, southwesterly winds at about 5 miles per hour. As we go through the night, we drop back through the 40s. I think most of us right about 40 for an overnight low, but we are going to have clear skies, which we do have out there right now. Our storm system from last night is well gone. So this is pretty much our weather as we go through about the next day or so. And then we're going to have to start tracking this storm system, which is out across parts of California. But this is a fairly strong upper level low that is going to track right out into the Central Plains by Thursday and into Friday, and we'll change our weather up again. All right, let's go through time. We're going to go through your next 48 hours. Upper 30s to near 40 tonight. Clear skies. As we go through the morning hours, southerly winds increase. Helps our temperatures warm up. Mid to upper 60s by noon. And then by the afternoon, look at this, 72 in Stockton, 73 in Anderson. Coffeyville up to 73, 71 in Fort Scott. So everybody looks pretty good. Tomorrow night, we do get a few clouds which start to work in. Our winds switch back to the north, so a little bit cool. We have a northerly wind on Wednesday, a little bit cooler, but still not bad. But we do have a lot of clouds. Rain is going to stick just to our south and to our east, but I think we should stay on the dry side. Then we clear out as we go into Wednesday night, and then on Thursday, clouds will start to increase again as our next storm system starts to head in our direction. All right, 43 to start, 64 by noon, up to about 72. So that's pretty good for us tomorrow. Enjoy it. We do have a stronger storm system which is going to roll in. This is going to be Thursday. Rain increases, and this is going to track out almost a perfect track for us to get very heavy amounts of rain as we go into Thursday. And then it gets a little bit interesting because as that colder air works in behind it, we can switch over to some snow. We're going to talk a little bit more in depth about that in our second half hour. 72 tomorrow, 62 on Wednesday, 55 thunderstorms Thursday, only 38 for a high on Friday. Then we clear out and look pretty good toward the weekend.
Yeah, it's funny how we just ran that video the block before where it talked about how massive weather temps can impact your health.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, when I'm seeing 72,
72 is going to be nice.
I'll just roll with it. You know, if it happens, it happens. All right, thank you, Doug. Coming up, a look at the arguments the Supreme Court will hear tomorrow in 2 cases that could decide the future of President Biden's student loan forgiveness program. If you have federal student loan debt, keep an eye on Tuesday's arguments at the Supreme Court. Two cases challenging President Biden's plan to cancel some of that debt for millions of borrowers will come before the justices. Karen Kafa is in Washington with what you should expect.
In limbo for months, President Joe Biden's federal student loan relief plan will have a turn before the U.S. Supreme Court Tuesday. Last August, Biden unveiled a sweeping plan to forgive up to $20,000 in federal student loan debt for borrowers whose income was less than $125,000 a year.
All this means people can finally crawl out from under that mountain of debt to get on top of their rent and their utilities.
Supporters lauded the move as a big step forward to ending a college debt crisis compounded by the COVID-19 pandemic. And the Biden administration said among borrowers no longer in school, nearly 90% of relief dollars would go to those earning less than $75,000 a year. Republican critics called it political landing as the 2022 midterm elections entered the home stretch and argued writing off an estimated $430 billion in repayments should get congressional approval. In December, the Supreme Court agreed to take up two challenges to the plan, including one from 6 GOP-led states, Nebraska, Arkansas, Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, and South Carolina, while keeping a block imposed by an appeals court last November in place. Millions of borrowers have been notified they're approved for debt relief. No debt has been canceled yet. The Biden administration's case leans on the post-9/11 HEROES Act of 2003, which granted the U.S. Secretary of Education authority to make changes to the federal student loan program during national emergencies. But the White House intends to end the COVID-19 national emergency on May 11th, which may make that argument more challenging. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
Apartment rents fell in every major metropolitan area in the U.S. over the past 6 months through January, a trend that is poised to continue as the biggest delivery of new apartments in nearly 4 decades is slated for this year. Renters with new leases in January paid a median rent that was 3.5% lower than they would have paid last August, according to estimates from the listing website Apartment List. The restaurant industry took a big hit during the pandemic, and the recovery process might be slow. Customers have returned after the COVID shutdown, but there are still fewer restaurants now than there were 4 years ago. According to restaurant consulting company Technomic, in 2019, there were 703,000 restaurants nationwide. Restaurants are being hit hard with rent increases and the prices of ingredients climbing. On top of that, they are struggling to find workers. Up next, a California man holds the title for visiting the happiest place on earth a record amount of times. We'll see how long it took him to achieve this title. A man sets a world record by visiting the happiest place on earth. Jeff Reitz now holds the Guinness World Record for the most consecutive visits to Disneyland. He has visited the theme park in Anaheim, California 2,995 times. It took him 8 years, 3 months, and 13 days to achieve the record. Reitz says he started visiting Disneyland when he was out of work and using the annual pass gifted to him. On his 336th straight visit, Disney gave him a gift basket and proclamation certificates of honorary citizenship. 30 more minutes of news and weather coming your way. How your sleep patterns could factor into your risk of a heart attack. Plus, how a new series of a historic theater in Springfield is diving into the health benefits of going to the movies. Most of you are probably familiar with the top dangers for a heart attack. You need to watch your weight, what you eat, don't smoke, and be aware of your family history. But Joe Hickman tells us about another factor that involves how well you sleep. He has more from Springfield, Missouri.
Russ Fowler has come to the Common Sleep Diagnostic offices in South Springfield because he's had problems getting a restful sleep.
Then I also noticed that I had been having heart palpitations or arrhythmias, and I wondered if that had something to do with not sleeping well and waking up, or possibly apnea.
I'm going to put it right about here.
So Fowler is getting an at-home sleep monitor to help in his diagnosis because...
No, it's very concerning because I know how important sleep is, and good sleep and restful sleep too.
Sleep is restorative, so when your body doesn't get
the rest that it needs, it can be detrimental for your health.
Impacting people's stress, how they interact with others.
Stroke, blood pressure being out of control, a heart attack.
In fact, a pair of studies just released found that people with insomnia are 69% more likely to have a heart attack. Insomnia is defined as having at least one of these three symptoms for at least 3 days a week for 3 months. And 1 in 10 Americans have insomnia. Sleep apnea, where you stop breathing for brief moments while you're sleeping, can also affect your heart.
Your oxygen levels dropping, so your heart has to work harder all night long when it's supposed to be resting.
The study also shows that people who habitually sleep 5 hours or less per night are 56% more likely to have a heart attack, and that people with high-quality sleep live longer, an average of almost 5 years longer for men and 2.5 years for women.
An estimated 10% of Americans have some form of insomnia, and it's more common in women. That's according to the Center for Sleep and Cardiovascular and Outcomes Research at the University of Pittsburgh. A very familiar-looking orange Dodge Charger crashed on a highway in southern Missouri today. The General Lee was among hundreds made with the hit TV show The Dukes of Hazzard. Both people in the car were evaluated and taken to the hospital. There's no word on their conditions or what caused the one vehicle accident. Could going to the movies be good for your mental health? That's the thought behind this series of midweek movie matinees being offered at a historic theater in Springfield, Missouri. Reporter Joe Hickman is back with a look at the lineup.
At the Gilloy's Theater, it was an afternoon showing of the 1956 classic King and I that brought in mainly a senior citizen crowd who remembered when midday matinees were a big deal.
Just like old times.
We said, hey, that's just for us. It'll get us off the couch.
And that's exactly what these 21 movies showing every other week through November are designed to do.
Enjoy the show.
Get those age 60 and older out of the house and exercising their brains. As before each movie, there's a trivia quiz related to the year the movie was released.
What was the #1 song in 1956?
Heartbreak Hotel.
You got it.
Heartbreak Hotel by Elvis Presley, who, by the way, attended a movie at the Gilloys in the early 50s. And just by these folks being here,
the opportunity for socialization and engagement on the trivia side is great for mental health and can reduce the onset of dementia by varying studies, some as low as 26%, some as high as half. Who knew that going to the movies could be good for your mental health?
While doing things for your physical health is vital too, as you get older, it's important not to isolate yourself away from the rest of the world.
Research has shown that isolation affects at least 40+% of seniors, and they compared the effects of loneliness to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It can lead to depression, anxiety, but it also increases the chance of Alzheimer's and dementia. The more active your mind remains, you're basically delaying that dementia and Alzheimer's.
So by getting out and doing something, even if it's not physical exercise, you're still helping yourself mentally.
I think it gives them a sense of purpose. They have something to look forward to.
And by the way, the midweek matinees are open to all ages.
I'm missing out on this perk, but free tickets are available to those ages 60 and over through the Greene County Senior Citizen Services Fund and the Christian County Services Tax Fund. A bit later, how a new high-tech camera is being used to track down poachers threatening wildlife in Africa.
Well, of course, it turned out to be a great Monday for us today. It's actually a pretty nice evening as well. We got clear skies, not too chilly. It is cooling down a bit, but it's not too bad. Nice shot, Indigo Sky Casino and Resorts. Look at that past 36 hours. Our temperatures have warmed up. We hit mid-60s yesterday, had severe thunderstorms last night, and then near 70 for us today. We are cooling down just a bit. We're sitting at 44 in Neodesha, it's 52 in Bonita. We have 50 in Lamar. We have Cassville sitting at 55. Pittsburgh is checking in at 47 degrees. And it was a little bit breezy earlier today. The winds have calmed down just a bit. They're going to pick back up once again for us tomorrow. Currently outside sitting at 53. Humidity is at 55%. Through the night, we drop back through the 40s, near 40 for an overnight low. So it will be chilly, but it's not bad. But you can see we have clear skies, nothing going on here. This is kind of our weather once again as we go into Tuesday. And then our next storm system will start to affect us. And this is a very strong upper level low. And this storm system, it's right in line with the pattern. So it is going to kick out on Thursday and Friday of later on this week. All right, so let's go through time. Then we're going to talk about that storm system a little bit more. All right, upper 30s to near 40 for an overnight low. Look at the southerly winds increase for us tomorrow. Upper 60s by noon. Most of us lower 70s during the afternoon, which is pretty good. Tomorrow night, winds switch back around out of the north, so we cool back down into lower 40s. And then once we go into Wednesday, a lot of clouds increase. In fact, we got a weak wave that is going to pass right down through northwestern Arkansas. We're just going to have the clouds, but we should end up staying on the dry side. And then we'll see that next system moving in on Thursday. All right, by morning 43, 64 by noon, high temp 72. So Tuesday is going to be fantastic, a little bit on the windy side. All right, rain increases late Thursday, showers and thunderstorms. I think most likely eastern parts of Oklahoma is going to get severe weather late Thursday. I think it'll stay just south of us, but something we want to watch. As we go into Thursday night, here comes the upper level low. Now, last time when this storm system came through, because remember, we're on a recurring cycle, the upper level low tracked right across northern Arkansas. If that occurs again, which it should, if we can get enough cold air in here, we'll switch over to a very heavy, wet snow with temperatures kind of hovering just above freezing as we go into Friday morning, and then this system would exit by the time we head into Friday afternoon. So a lot to watch the next few days. 72 for us tomorrow, 62 on Wednesday, 55 thunderstorms Thursday, cooler, morning snow Friday. We clear out just in time for the weekend, looking pretty good, and then rain right back in for us next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Yeah, keeping an eye out on that storm system for sure. But I just want to thank you and the rest of our weather team last night. I was up pretty late just because we work later at night, so I was able to pull those hours.
They knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, they did a great job, and we really appreciate you guys. All right, thank you, Doug. With warmer days on the way, it won't be long before a dangerous pest reemerges. Nick Kelly breaks down what you need to know ahead of tick season.
The upcoming spring means tick season's just about here across the Ozarks. While the most active months are primarily from April through July, a University of Missouri study found that ticks can be found from early March all the way through November, with the three most common species in Missouri being the Lone Star, American Dog, and the deer tick. If your time outside takes you through areas of tall grass, brush, weeds, or the woods, you'll want to make sure you take the proper precautions by using bug repellent with effective ingredients like DEET on yourself and your clothes. Francis Galiski with the Department of Conservation says tick prevention doesn't stop once your time outside is done.
Always check yourself when you come in from the outdoors in warm weather when you've been out in vegetation. Take a good shower, give yourself a good scrubbing, and that'll keep ticks off and anything else that's attached to you.
Don't forget about your pets. Make sure that they're on the proper medication or have a collar on to help prevent any ticks, and make sure you check them once they are finished outside.
Coming up, the Alec Murdaugh murder trial is almost over as the defense wraps up its case.